Hi, this is Jing again with Market Insights on the Bali Business Review, and today I'm going to show you a few questions that you can ask any seller or developer before you plan on investing in a property, resort, villa, apartment, guest house, leasehold land, freehold land that you should ask before you engage in any purchase decision. Why am I telling you this? Well, for many years, I've seen that many property owners have entered the Bali real estate market with very, very disappointing outcomes. And the key moment in which they made their most critical mistake was at the moment of purchase. Why? Well, maybe they had too many cocktails and then walked into a real estate agency and then made a fateful decision to buy a $500,000 or $1 million property. And they thought it was funny until they had to deal with the consequences a few years later. Maybe they thought like, well, I can just trust this developer because they look so smart. They have such a nice office. They have such a pretty sales assistant speak to me. Now, I'm neither pretty nor do I have a very good office, but I can tell you the truth. In terms of actually looking after your own investment, you are your best witness and you are your own best advocate. So don't trust anybody, trust yourself. And here are some tools in which you can actually go and qualify a developer or any seller of property to as whether they really know what they're talking about. Okay, so the first question I think that always gets asked incorrectly, but should be rephrased or reframed is this. What exactly is the investment value? The wrong question I keep on hearing over and over, and this has been happening for decades, is when a buyer goes and asks developer, what's the average daily rate? What's the average daily rate? A developer really doesn't know the average daily rate, but what a developer should be able to tell you is what is the yearly yield and what is the yield over the stage of that cost. So what do I mean by that? Instead of listening to, oh, the average daily rate is $200, therefore I take $200, multiply it by 365, multiply it by 80% occupancy, and boom, the math spells out, I get this number, and that's what my yearly yield will be. No. What a knowledgeable developer should be able to do is to say this. You are entering the market at $300,000. Then if you sell in a few years' time, you should be able to exit at this value on the remaining years of your lease or this value on your freehold, plus this is the additional cash flow that you should accumulate during this time. A developer that speaks to you with this type of financial certainty, with this type of financial understanding, is a strongly knowledgeable developer or a strongly minded seller, and they should be able to assist you in your progress towards understanding the financial picture. That's number one. Number two is about a sensible plan. A sensible plan needs in Bali to always be rooted on an incredible guest experience. Once again, in my previous video, I explained how it's not all about location. Location is just but one component of a very strong investment property in Bali. If you're looking to get financial return from a property investment decision in Bali, you need to think about who's your customer going to be. Your customers are going to be guests. Guests coming to stay in your property on their holidays are choosing your property over another property, are choosing your location over another location based on its experiential value. So the two components that you need to ask your seller is, can you give me a qualification of the location? And can you give me a qualification of the design? If they're unable to qualify the location in a pure way or qualify the design in another way, then it doesn't show that they also might not have done any good due diligence. And that's also common too. Many developers and sellers of property will have rushed into a boom period hoping for luck and praying for a great outcome, but without doing really good due diligence on the quality of the location and the quality of the design, you'll come into entanglements that later on will be a drawback to your investment decision. The third main category is the aspect about legality. Now, no developer is truly an expert on legal matters, and I often find it ironic that a developer would have an in-house legal consultant or notary to help the process. It seems a little bit counterintuitive. Of course, the notary or the legal consultant has every incentive being in-house to make sure that you buy a property. They're not working for you, right? They're working for the developer. So That just seems, I don't know, people are just so lazy sometimes as buyers that they forget that this inherently is a conflict of interest. You definitely want to go to a third party that you pick for legal and notarial advice, because otherwise that lawyer or notary is not working on your behalf, they're working on the developer's behalf. Hopefully, anybody who's seen maybe the movie The Social Network understands this reference, that you need to lawyer up yourself, okay? Now, if you have any trouble finding a reputable notary or lawyer, you can rely on Google Maps. There is Google Maps in Bali. It's widely used, and all the reviews are not perfect, of course. Anybody can leave a review on Google Maps. They do give you a frame of reference. If you're going to use Google Maps to find a restaurant, then you should definitely use Google Maps at least to find a good legal or notarial consultant. Don't trust the legal or notarial consultant attached to the developer. They do not work on your behalf. They work on the behalf of the developer to move deal flow through the organization, and they're just another layer of assurance that is part of the marketing in terms of how the developer wants to sell you your product. All right, let's go into the fourth most important question, which is about the design. So the design of any property, you should look at it through the lens of not your own eyes of what you find appealing, but you can do some simple research. All you have to do as a buyer or a potential buyer of property is to look on Instagram, look on YouTube, and look to see how much engagement you find for designs of a similar type to the ones that you are planning to buy. That is a quick check. And that's in fact the advice that I used to give to developers for building the right type of designs before they went ahead. Bukit Vista, as an aside, used to get paid, and we still do get paid for investment strategy consultation. So the advice I'd used to give to our developer friends was that go in and think of a way to actually give a value to your consumer by finding product market fit. And how do you find that? Well, social media and the engagement is public, so you can use those engagement cues, engagement signals to determine if a design will work well. Now, if you need further, let's say, cue in or analysis of the design, of course, you can go on Google Trends, which I've highlighted in a previous video, and look at whether that trend line is accelerating or decelerating. You just type in the words white Mediterranean Villa Bali and see if you're seeing uptrend or downtrend in that. Failing that, you could also go on ChatGPT and explore what type of design trends are currently going up or down. ChatGPT does accept screenshots, by the way, so you can attach a screenshot and ask it to identify what matter of design you're looking at. Okay, so these are some tips to buying a property without having any regrets, with feeling completely confident that you have the right tools to go about the sequence of finding the right questions and then asking your developer or the seller the right questions. And hopefully, if they have good answers, then you can rest assured that you have bought a great property, right? Maybe not. As best as a developer or a seller would like to actually offer you reassurances that your decision is correct, I think it always pays, especially if you're about to actually engage in a multi-100,000 at least purchase decision over the course of decades. It might be a good idea to get third-party consultation. If anything, just shop one developer around to another, go and take a look at different websites, go and take a look at comparison sites, subscribe to the Bali Business Review. Okay, there's a shameless plug for our own channel, but do a little bit of shopping. Do a little bit of comparison notes, and if you find any inconsistencies, please write and comment below, and we will do our best to try to resolve those inconsistencies. Now, I'll go into the final chapter of what I'm trying to do. So why am I offering all this information? What's my end point? What is the benefit to myself as an individual? We have been running property management companies here in Bali for over a decade and a half now. And one of the consistent problems that I've witnessed is that our work is significantly harder when buyer enters the market at the wrong value. When an investor enters the market in the wrong price or they've overpaid for a property, that certainly makes our job as managers much more consistent, because we try to, of course, offer the strongest financial return. So this process, hopefully, that we're sharing with buyers, educates buyers such that it makes our job a little bit easier when we try our best to offer an investment return to the folks that bring us property management opportunities. Okay, so that's Jing here in California signing off with another episode of the Bali Business Review. I hope that if you have any additional comments or feedback that you'd like to share, you will leave it below in the comment section. If you like what you're seeing and you want to catch up on the latest knowledge before other people hear about these tips, do subscribe and be notified. That way you'll be the first to know when we issue a new episode. All episodes are, once again, based on engagement and feedback from you as the viewer community. So if you want us to think about or explore a topic, please write it publicly and we will see what the engagement looks like, and we will correspondingly deliver on information, business intelligence, and analytics that the viewership would like to see. All right, signing off again. This is Jing with another episode of Market Insights on the Bali Business Review. See you on the next episode.